Pace is an odd thing in FC25. Sometimes you think you're through, but then the defender easily catches up, making them look like they have 99 pace while your speedster up front looks like a lame duck. Pace is not what it used to be this year, and I think we have to accept this to some extent. But yet we have some tricks up our sleeve that can help you to win those running duels more often. Just like this. Let me show you. Okay, in this video I want to give you 3 fundamental tips or techniques that will help you to win running duels. The first one is pretty simple. Mind your direction. This is something that has changed in FC25 and it's still catching me off guard sometimes. The slightest direction changes can already lead to a slight loss of pace or momentum. When you turn too much while you're just sprinting with the ball, your player slows down. For example, here I wanted to slightly turn to the inside and you immediately see a bad contact which slows my player a bit. So in order to keep the pace up high, you have to pay quite a lot of attention to only gradually turn. Otherwise, there's a chance that your player takes a bad contact and slows down. I think this is more like a bug than a feature, and I hope that it will get fixed anytime soon, because I think this isn't really comprehensible why your player would slow down that much with just slight direction changes. Now we have 2 separate techniques that either help you to run faster or prevent the opponent from surpassing you. Let's start with the running faster technique. So what holds your player back from running faster? Just in theory. Ball contacts. Your player has to keep pushing the ball forward with their feet, which makes it harder to run fast. So what do we do to minimize that effect? We reduce the amount of ball contacts. For this we use the technique which is called knock-on. We knock the ball further away, which allows us to run larger distances without touching the ball. This allows us to be faster. Great! There are 3 ways to do a knock-on. For 2 of them we have to hold the sprint button. The first one is flicking the right stick twice into one direction. With the next ball contact your player will do the knock-on with the ball. The direction of the flick determines the direction of the knock-on, so you can also use this to change your running direction. The second technique is not flicking the right stick but just holding it into the direction you want to knock on the ball. The longer you hold the stick in that direction, the further away you knock on the ball. The third technique is double pressing the sprint button. The right stick isn't involved. Personally, I think this is the worst way of doing it, since it is quite error prone. It's harder to hit the right timing to get it right away, but perhaps this is just personal preference. I think the second way of doing the knock-on is the best one. Since I just have to hold the stick in that one direction, I think it is less challenging to find the correct position for the stick, which gives me more consistent outcomes. With the double flick technique, I think it is more likely that you don't hit the direction perfectly, and similar to what we have learned at the beginning, such a direction change can slow us down or give the opponent a chance to get to the ball before us. But still, there are situations where I intuitively use the flicking technique. I think these are situations where I use it more spontaneously. Here I saw the chance to use the knock-on for a direction change because my opponent expected me to try to pace through on the lower side. With the knock-on I changed the direction, and for this I think it works better with the flicking technique. When I just want to have this straight sprint forward, I rather go with holding the stick. Knock-ons benefit quite a lot from the rapid playstyle. When you use knock-ons with these players, it feels like you get an extra burst. It doesn't have to be rapid plus, but already the regular one helps. But this doesn't mean that you can't use it with players that don't have this playstyle. More like you just use it more often with players that have rapid because you increase the advantage. Knock-ons are very versatile. You can also do them on first contact, but I would only recommend this when your player is already sprinting in that direction, so they already have some pace and momentum. Then the knock-on helps to keep up the pace or to further accelerate, and we don't slow down as much when controlling the ball. You can also use several knock-ons in a row, but for every knock-on we always have to evaluate one important thing. Do we have enough space in front of us? Since we knock on the ball far away, there's always a chance that another player or the goalkeeper comes into play. Then it is all for nothing because that ball is gone. So what you can see quite often in this example is that I use the knock-on to get away from the defender close by, but then not to use it anymore since other defenders are in front of me and there would be an immediate threat of losing the ball with another knock-on. If you're struggling with the use of knock-ons or any other topic, your personal coach will help you with that. You can ask him questions about the best ways to improve or what are your biggest weaknesses and how you can fix them. This is what we do in our personal coaching sessions that we offer. Find more information about it on our website. Click the icon in the top right corner or the link in the video description. You can also bundle the coaching with our The Guide Plus Season Pass to get access to over 50 exclusive tutorials and our comprehensive courses. As the second technique, we will not explain to you how to run faster, but actually slower. And still, this can help you to win running duels. How does this work? We're using the shielding function for this. When you press L2 or LT, your player will use their body to shield off the ball and prevent an opponent from getting around you. And yes, this slows you down a bit, but if you find the right spots for it and time it correctly, it can help tremendously to improve your position in the running duel, giving the opponent no chance to get to the ball, but actually slowing them down even more. So here are the key factors for successfully using it. First, the position. The better your position is, the more likely you can keep it that way when you use shielding. So what is better? You're clearly in front of the opponent and have the advantage. In this example, you can see how I use shielding for the first time, clearly in front of the opponent, and I'm able to shrug the opponent off. The opponent recovers, gets to my side, and I try to shield for a second time. Here my position isn't as strong anymore, the opponent is able to get around my player and wins the ball. The ups and downs of shielding. Second, the timing. Shielding is a lot about developing the right feeling for the timing. I try to use it between ball contacts, so I control the ball and then right after I just briefly press shielding before taking the next ball contact. The longer you press shielding, the more your player will slow down. So it's a lot about finding the right balance between shielding the opponent away and not losing too much pace. I usually try to get it done with pressing shielding once, but here I press the shielding button 3 times until I get a clear visual signal that I got rid of the opponent. Lucio was a real nuisance. Third, the physicality. That shouldn't be a surprise for you, but trying to shield the ball from your opponent works better when you use players that have a lot of strength, aggression, height, or a bulky player model. The press-proven playstyle is also beneficial for it, and vice versa, when the opponent's player isn't as strong, this also works in our favor. In the right situations you can also get away with weaker players, but then the other factors like position and timing have to be really in your favor. And most often the effect of shielding won't be as noticeable in contrast to using a really strong player. But shielding has one big downside. You might do everything right and you're able to shrug off the opponent from you, but this comes at the cost of speed. As explained in the beginning, the target of this technique isn't to run faster, but to just run faster than the opponent who's close by. So yes, you might be able to slow down the opponent close by, but this gives the other defenders time to catch up. That's why it is important to really find the right balance with this technique. You have to use it with micro precision. Enough to win the running duel against the close by opponent, but also not too much to lose too much pace in this physical duel. And this brings me to the end of the video, but there's still one important learning I have to share. You can do everything right. You can find a good spot for the knock-on, or you find a really good timing for shielding, but sometimes it won't help and the opponent catches up. Sometimes you just get a bit unlucky with the animation, or the opponent was already running with more pace and is catching up because of it. There can be plenty of reasons, and sometimes you miss the consistency in the outcome of those situations. But this doesn't mean that it's useless. Those strategies and techniques work. Not all the time, and it isn't a guarantee, but they will help more often than not. So it's definitely worth practicing and also to re-evaluate what went wrong when it didn't work. And if you end up in that situation, you should have a look at the video which you can click on the screen right now, because this is our complete dribbling guide for FC25. Learn every dribbling technique in the game to get out of the tricky situations with the opponent close by. That's it from my side, thanks for watching, keep a clean sheet, I'm out.